Hello loves, and welcome to today's video. Today I am going to do a mid-year book haul and run through all of the books that I bought in the first half of this year. Some disclaimers to start because I know overconsumption is a big topic in the book community, especially recently. One, I get the majority of my books from the library and I do encourage people to use the library as much as possible. Two, I read a lot and therefore I have to have a lot of books that cycle through to be able to keep up with the pace at which I read books. I don't expect that everybody buys this amount of books if they're not reading them. I do make a concerted effort to read what I have. Three, a lot of the books that I buy are actually secondhand. I love to go out to a used bookstore on the weekend and browse for used books. So a lot of the books I'm getting have already been read and enjoyed by other people, so it is reducing the need to purchase new books all the time. And lastly, as much as possible, I do try to support my local independent bookstores if I do get to the point where I have decided I want to buy something new. Usually if I'm buying new, it's because it's a brand new book that won't be at a used bookstore yet and the wait list on the library is very long, or it's something that I am collecting in a series and I've already started reading the series and haven't got to the point where I can't find them used anymore. Let's get started. First, I am going to start with this stack because these are books that I have already done a haul video on. These are the books that I got on Canadian Independent Bookstore Day and that related bookstore crawl that I did. So I will link that video and we'll run through these just very quickly for completionist sake. The first is Mary by Nat Cassidy. This is about a middle-aged woman who moves back to her hometown and then gets haunted by various specters. I've heard really good things about this one and I bought this from a local independent bookstore during the bookstore crawl that they did for Independent Bookstore Day. Next is Geraldine Brooks' Horse. This is based on a true story book about the life of a racehorse that also mentions that it's about like love and racism. So I won this in a book raffle on that same weekend, so that is this one. Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wong. This is about a woman who works at a spa and is also an aspiring musician, and beneath the creams and lotions, etc. at this spa, there is something darker lurking underneath. I picked this up at a different independent local bookstore with a gift card that I was gifted from my sibling, so thank you again to my sibling for that gift card. Next is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is about 4 generations of a Korean family trying to find their place in Japan. This was in that same raffle that I got horse in. Next, we have Militia. This is a ARC that I got from one of the independent bookstores. It is about 3 children who go to this island in the Dominican Republic to check out this creepy abandoned amusement park. That seemed kind of fun and it was free giveaway, so that was cool. I also have this copy of Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is a classic, which honestly, I don't even know what it is about. It's a classic. It's Jane Austen, so I assume it's about like upper class people in England doing their Victorian era? Edwardian? Doing their thing. This is just like an absolutely stunning copy. This was also in a giveaway that I won on Independent Bookstore Day. Also 3 other books which I no longer have as I gave them to my sibling. They were Body So Fluorescent, Scenes from the Underground, and I can picture the cover but I can't picture the words in my head. Chrysalis. If you want more information on those 3 books, I did an entire reading vlog on them and I will link that in the cards. I don't know which side it is. And I missed one. We also have Learned by Heart by Emma Donoghue. This is about 2 girls who form a friendship, possibly relationship, at a boarding school. I did kind of enjoy Haven when I read that, which is by the same author, so I am looking a bit more forward to this one than I originally was. Those are the ones that I got in my indie bookstore crawl weekend. These next ones I have also already mentioned on my channel because I got them at Little Ghosts when I was on my Toronto Niagara Falls trip. So first is Demons and Death Drops. This was edited by the bookstore, specifically by Chris Krajik, who was also the employee at the store who made all of these recommendations for me. So thank you again, Chris. This is an anthology of queer performance horror, and look at that cover. So excited for it to be spooky season for me to read this. And we have True Crime by Samantha Kolesnik. This is about a woman who has a very traumatic childhood and then becomes a serial killer. Since I got it, I did see someone, I think it was in Katie Colson's Patreon Discord, say that it was really good, so I am looking forward to that one. We have Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. This is about a woman whose adult son dies, and I think she like summons his ghost, and then is the ghost evil or not? And the last one I got from Little Ghosts is The Wild Dark by Catherine Silva. This one is signed by the author. So cute. And this is about like a mystical forest that continues to spread, and then ghosts are in the forest apparently. I'm really excited to read that one as well. Oh look, it's my Little Ghosts I Heart books. It's got ghosts on the back. So these are the books that I got at Little Ghosts, which is a horror-specific bookstore in Toronto. So if you either live in Toronto or ever in the city, it was a really cool, cute little bookstore, and the employee was nice enough to make all these recommendations for me. So I definitely recommend checking that out. And that is stack number 2. Next, I'll go through some of the books that I bought that are from various different series. First is the last 3 books that I had to get from the Sookie Stackhouse series. I'm so close to finishing the series. I have these 2 left. This is a series about Sookie Stackhouse, who lives in a world where vampires have come out of the coffin, and she kind of gets herself embroiled in the politics and drama between the different supernatural communities. So we have vampires, werewolves, shifters, fairies, and all these things, and Sookie's in the middle of all of it. I have read this one. I am hoping to get these 2 done either by the end of this month or the end of next month, and then I will wrap up this series that I started when I was 16. That is 3 of the books that I bought. These ones I did buy new. I have been trying as much as possible to get them used, but I searched for like 6 months and I could not find any used copies of these, so I did have to buy these ones new. Okay, next series. Everything written by Brandon Sanderson. So I read this one at the bottom here, Trust of the Emerald Sea, because my friend and I were doing like a book club where we just, the 2 of us would read a book together. We'd get on a FaceTime call and talk about it. Both of us wanted to read Trust of the Emerald Sea, so we read that. And then I loved it so much. The writing was so impeccable that I might have gone a little bit crazy and purchased all of these. So I purchased Elantris, which I have read and was also a 5-star. And this was Brandon Sanderson's first book. Like, this man and his writing. So then I did buy the first 3 Mistborn series. I did buy these ones new. After the bookstore crawl, I had kind of set myself a limit that I was only going to buy this series, and then I didn't end up finding any of them on the independent bookstore crawl because I had basically allotted a budget for that weekend and didn't end up spending it. I did go and buy these ones new. The Way of the Kings I just found at a used bookstore like 2 weeks ago. That one is after the Mistborn series, I think, in the reading order. And then there is also Warbreaker, which I think is also a standalone like Elantris is. I was ordering a book and I needed like 1 more book to get free shipping, so that's why I got Warbreaker. And yeah, these are my Brandon Sanderson books. This is probably the stack that was the most impulse purchased, because I read 1 Brandon Sanderson and then was like, I need to read everything this man has ever written. Then we have 2 nonfiction books. I don't really buy a lot of nonfiction. It's not something I usually am gonna reread very often, so I tend to get it from the library more often. But I have, first of all, Lords of Chaos, The Bloody Rise of the Satanic Metal Underground by Michael Moynihan and Didrik Suderland. I saw this in the window of my local used bookstore, and I am a fan of metal music. And I do find like the Satanic Panic really interesting as to how things like Dungeons and Dragons and tarot cards and horoscopes all became basically synonymous with devil worship and like child sacrifice. I am really interested in reading this, and like I said, it was in the window of a used bookstore. I saw it, I didn't buy it the first time, and was like, if it's still there next time I go, I'll get it, and it was. So that is that one. The second nonfiction book that I bought is In Pursuit of Excellence, How to Win in Sport and Life Through Mental Training by Terry Orlick. This was a book that was recommended to me by my archery coach because I get target panic sometimes. This is supposed to help you get your mental game right to excel in sport. If you told me like even 3 years ago, like, yeah, you're gonna buy a sports psychology book and you're actually gonna read it and it's actually something that's gonna be helpful to you, I wouldn't have believed you. You can probably tell from this copy and how the way it looks that this is a used book. It is the first novel based on Dungeons and Dragons, like so early into the existence of Dungeons and Dragons that like it just thanks Gary Gygax and doesn't have anywhere in the promotional materials like this is a Dungeons and Dragons novel. I did read this already. I did accidentally drop it. It fell off of my sword. What is my life? Yeah, it fell off of my sword that I had it resting on and got a little damaged. I toyed with the idea of collecting the Dungeons and Dragons novels, and I went into a used bookstore like the only thing I'm allowed to get is specifically the first Dungeons and Dragons novel, and it just happened to be there that time. Oh yeah, I own the first Dungeons and Dragons novel. Then I did also get Mistress of Dragons by Margaret Weis. Margaret Weis is someone who wrote a lot of the very early Dungeons and Dragons novel. This might have also been a little bit more of an impulse buy because I saw Margaret Weis and was like, yes. Not realizing that one, this is the first book in a series, and two, this is not one of the Dungeons and Dragons novels. It is more of an original concept. So I own this now. I'll probably read it at some point. This is like the one book that I'm probably like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have bought that. Next, we have another 2 books that I found at a used bookstore. We have The Eye of Sybil and Second Variety. Both of them are collections of Philip K. Dick novels, stories. Philip K. Dick is one of my favorite sci-fi authors. I do really enjoy Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I really loved Ubik. I've read quite a few of his other novels as well. I found these in my local used bookstore for like 15 bucks. And it was my birthday weekend and it seemed like fate that I should get these, and each of them has like 20 of his stories in it, so it seemed more economical for me to buy these collected editions. I know my library doesn't have a lot of them, and especially when they are longer collected editions like this, they take me too long to read. So definitely something that I wanted to be able to buy, and then I can pace myself and not just overload my brain with Philip K. Dick for like 2 weeks straight and then I get sick of it. I'm glad to own these so I can pace myself with reading some Philip K. Dick. Also a Philip K. Dick, I bought a Scanner Darkly. I have already read this. Keanu Reeves is on the cover. For my new Keanu Reeves shrine, I am kind of collecting books that are novelizations with him on the cover. Scanner Darkly is not one of my favorite Philip K. Dicks, but still a story I enjoyed. Also, found that in the used bookstore the same day I found the collected edition. Similarly, a book that I bought that I did already read, I did buy this copy of The Stolen Throne. This is a used copy as well. I did own a small paperback of it, but now I own the tall paperback, considering that all my other Dragon Age books are the tall paperbacks, and it was kind of bothering me that I had one that was just the short paperback. So now all of my Dragon Age books are the same size, and this is the first Dragon Age novelization, Dragon Age being one of my favorite video games of all time. Next, we have Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka. This is a book that I know Katie Coulson absolutely loves, and I saw it in the used bookstore, and I'm like, yes, I will take that. This is about a man who is on death row, but we don't get his perspective. We get the perspective of all of the women in his life, like the detective who investigated the case, his mother, and all of these different perspectives around, I guess, his crime and their feelings on him being executed. I'm looking forward to that one based on Katie Coulson's glowing review. We have Skull Daddy by Stephanie Ann. I believe this is an independently published novel. It is about like a child who is obsessed with this Halloween decoration called Skull Daddy. Is it a game of make-believe or is it something more? I was at a farmer's market and I saw someone selling books and saw the title Skull Daddy and was like, yeah, I think I do want to read that. So this one is also fairly short and I'm looking forward to reading it. Last time I was at my used bookstore, we have this and I'm like, that is beautiful. And then I open it and it's an Octavia E. Butler novel about vampires. I read Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents, and while I was like on the fence about the first one, the second one like really brought it home that Octavia E. Butler is an incredible writer. If there's a book about vampires, I'm probably gonna want to read it. So I was very excited to be able to get this absolutely stunning copy of it in this box and everything. So that is something I am looking forward to reading. And of course I bought Keanu Reeves' novel. I actually bought 2 copies of it, but I'm only gonna hold one. This is the most anticipated book of 2024 for me. And I bought both an unsigned copy and a signed copy, and then I ended up with 2 signed copies. Hooray for me! I have an entire video of me just reading this book and fangirling over my signatures and Keanu Reeves in general, so I will link that, and yeah. Book of Elsewhere by Keanu Reeves and China Millville. Also, Keanu Reeves related, Leather and Lark, the second book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. This book came out this year. It's the sequel to Butcher and Blackbird. My book club made me read Butcher and Blackbird last year, and I am nothing if not a series completionist. Did, of course, also have to buy Leather and Lark and read it, and Keanu Reeves is mentioned a lot. Did already read this one. It's Lark, who is the main character from the first one's best friend and brother of the male protagonist in the first one, fake marriage and enemies to lovers dating. The best part of this for me was the Keanu Reeves references, but the cover's also pretty cool. And the last of the 2024 novel releases I bought is The Friendship Study by Ruby Barrett. Ruby Barrett is probably my favorite romance author. This is about a firefighter who's been injured and can no longer firefight, and a girl who works in academia signing up to this academic study where they try to make people be friends and figure out how the forming of adult friendships works. Part of the rules of the study is you cannot be romantically involved. And this is a romance novel, you can see by the cover. Clearly they skirt the rules a little bit on that. I did really enjoy this one, so that is the last of the novels. And we have one graphic novel that I bought this year. That was The Adventure Zone, The Suffering Game. I'm a huge fan of the McElroy brothers. This is the graphic novelization of their Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I did really enjoy it, and yeah, that was another 2024 release, so I did buy it new, and I have all of the other Indigo editions, so I need my copies to match. As per my best recollections, those are all of the books that I bought in the first half of the year. Leave in the comments a dragon emoji for Quag Keep and Mistresses of Dragons. If you enjoyed this video, please like and consider subscribing so you don't miss my reviews when I do actually read all of these. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.